Thank you, Clerk Lyons. Clerk Byrum, can you hear me?
I can, Senator.
Welcome to the Senate and House Oversight Committees. Do you have any opening statement or remarks that you would like to make before we ask questions?
I do, Senator. Thank you so much. Thank you, Senator McBroom, for the invitation to speak this afternoon about elections in Ingham County. My name is Barb Byrum. I'm the Chief Elections Official and Clerk for Ingham County. I've been fortunate enough to serve the amazing people of Ingham County in this capacity for nearly 8 years, and I've just recently been reelected to serve a third term. Prior to this position, I served 6 years in the Michigan House of Representatives. Before I begin, I believe it is important to note that although I do serve on the Michigan Association of County Clerks Legislative Committee, I am not speaking on behalf of MAC today. The November general election required the hard work and effort of 83 county clerks, over 1,500 municipal clerks, and thousands of poll workers, election inspectors, challengers, volunteers, and more. Ingham County has 214,400 registered voters, and during the November 3rd general election, 145,569 voters cast their ballot. 69.55% cast their ballot via absentee, and 30.45% voted in person. Election workers carried out this important work under incredibly difficult circumstances, with the COVID-19 pandemic forcing us to rethink how elections may be conducted while trying to limit exposure to the deadly disease. The challenges were further complicated by the president whose sole mission was to sow doubt in the election process that underpins our republic. That doubt has quickly turned into mistrust, which has led to thousands of honest Americans believing.
Excuse me, Clerk Byrum.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair?
Excuse me, Clerk Byrum. I understand the emotions of folks who are here. It won't do you any good to be making demonstrations during the testimony, and I will ask to have you removed if you can't control yourself. Please continue, Clerk Byrum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honest Americans believing and spreading rumors and falsehoods about the validity of the election results. I'm here to report to you today that for all of the challenges that we faced in preparing for, conducting, and certifying the election, the work was completed as smoothly, safely, and securely as one could hope. This is not to say that there were not errors made along the way, but the virtue of the checks and balances built into the Michigan election law is that the errors were caught and corrected. You will hear from Antrim County Clerk today about an incomplete tabulator programming update that led to results being incorrectly updated and reported after a need to correct a ballot and to add a candidate. The tabulators had read the ballots properly, but did not correctly communicate with the results accumulation software at the county level. You are no doubt aware of the human error in another location that led to the internet speculate that President-elect Biden had mysteriously gained 150,000 votes in an instant. These were errors that were identified and corrected immediately. Our system is built to uncover and rectify these problems without the need for legislative committee hearings. My colleagues and I have spoken in front of legislative committees for months about actual reforms that we would like to see instituted that would allow us to improve the way elections are run. Knowing what the pandemic would do to the processing time of absent voter ballots, we came to you and asked for additional time and resources so that we might start securely processing early. We asked for this because we knew the volume of absent voter ballots would necessitate more time. We also knew that the average consumer of news in America demands immediacy, and because the president had convinced his followers that a delay in reporting meant results were not trustworthy. These requests were more or less ignored, and as a result, the counting went on for days in some of our largest municipalities. As such, you saw more and more people questioning the results of the election. It is incumbent on our legislators to learn from the professional elections experts on this topic. We know what we are doing, and we know what we need to do better. We need the tools and the funding to do that. Certainly there are things that could, excuse me. Certainly there are things that could have been done to improve the security of our elections. Specifically, we could invest more at the local level for both technology and training. We are only as secure as our weakest link. So if a small township clerk in a rural county clicks on a link for a free Amazon gift card and it turns out to be a phishing attempt, it puts us all at risk. There should be a designated fund in each county clerk's office for the purposes of election security, technology, and the purchase of voting systems and other purchases related to the administration of elections. The tight timeline for filing and distribution of ballots to local clerks is something I would like to see changed by the legislature. There are 15 days between the last filing deadline to put something on the ballot and the deadline to have those ballots to local clerks for our military and overseas voters. During this window, there must be final proofing by all parties on the ballot. Every single candidate is mailed a proof ballot, printing of the ballots, and final review of the printed ballots, not to mention the initiation of testing and the programming against the created ballots. The 2-week timeline basically leaves no room for error. And when an error is found, it's already crunch time to get those ballots and programming finalized. I believe that if a local clerk's office is not full-time, we should be asking if they should be running elections. If they're unwilling or unable to do their own public accuracy testing and choose to contract it out to vendors, we should be asking, should they be running their elections? We need a better solution than part-time local clerks who find themselves with full-time workloads. I believe in these cases, county clerks are better suited to serve their constituents in the most safe and secure way. County clerks should be the filing official, since we're the ones to create the ballots and program the election. The last thing we should be doing is having to hunt down a local clerk for an affidavit of identity for a township or school board candidate. Please do not mistake my offering of these improvements as acknowledgement that there was any malfeasance in this election. The County Board of Canvassers certified the election results in all 83 counties on time and submitted them to the State Board of Canvassers for final certification as they are required to do. This was a woefully legitimate election, and the people of Michigan should rest easy knowing that their votes were counted and their voices were heard. The Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, and Infrastructure Security Agency went so far as to say and declare that this was the most secure election in American history. If this committee, or any committee in the House or Senate for that matter, would like to have a conversation about how the legislature can better empower the local, county, and state election administrators to do their jobs, I stand ready to speak with you. Full disclosure, you'll need coffee, and I will probably have a long list and leave something out. Finally, I believe it's important to discuss the after election day safeguards that are written in Bureau of Election Policy and Procedures, Michigan statute, and our Constitution, specifically as a result of a citizens' initiative of Proposal 3 in 2018. After polls close on election day, unofficial results are transmitted to the county clerk for posting. Later that evening, and sometimes into the wee hours of the Wednesday after election day morning, poll books, tabulator tapes, and materials are brought to the county clerk physically. In Ingham County, the day after the election, the County Board of Canvassers meets to begin the canvass of the election. Keeping in mind, the Board of Canvassers is a county board that is comprised of 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans who are typically nominated by their respective county parties and appointed by the County Board of Commissioners. Some canvassing boards do not meet until 9 a.m. on the Thursday following the election. as the deadline is set in statute. The Board of Canvassers reviews the paperwork and the results as they were reported on election night for each precinct and absent voter counting board of the county. The canvassers have the authority to direct election inspectors or clerks to correct errors found in the documents, which is usually a missing signature, a seal number in the poll book, and to retabulate ballots if necessary. They then certify the county's election results and determine the winners or nominees for local offices. Once certified, the results are sent to the state for state certification, and the clock starts for local recount filings, which must be received within 6 days of the certification. Once the state has certified the entire election, the clock starts to run for the statewide recount filings, which must be received within 48 hours of certifying the results. After the period has expired for the filing of a recount or all recounts have been finished, random audits are done. Typically, the Secretary of State decides which precincts in which jurisdictions are to be audited. As I understand it, it is random, but I do know the Secretary of State has been very open to suggested precincts, which the state typically performs itself. There is also a new type of audit, a risk limiting audit, RLA, which has been piloted in many communities, but my personal favorite is the old style hand recount of each ballot and procedural audit. Election administrators are unsung heroes of our electoral process. As public servants, they have received angry calls, emails, and texts from residents in our jurisdictions and outside who are concerned and upset about the election. I would be remiss if I did not point out to you all that although I have thick skin, I have heard from fellow election administrators that they feel as though their personal safety has been threatened. And I believe that these messages are prompted in part by the partisan rhetoric and conspiracy theories that people are actually believing. I look forward to working with you, Republicans and Democrats, to stand up to disinformation. If I may assist you by answering any of your questions today about elections administration process, the election security measures already in place and working in Michigan, the checks and balances that are already in place to prevent issues or partisanship from interfering in the administration of our elections, or any other topic in that arena, I look forward to that opportunity. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Byrum.